okay. Well, anybody
I,
else?
I can go next. So, hi y'all. Most of you know me. My name is Alexis. I'm the Ohio State Coordinator for Campus Vote Project. So I'm in the fun with you all daily. Um, Most of you all know I'm native to Cleveland, and grew up in Ohio. And to Nick's question, when I think about Ohio, that's hard because I think a lot of things. I think it's, you know, I think of family and I think of home. I think of factories and Rust Belt because my grandfather was, worked the railroads and factories his entire life. Um, and I also think about our metro parks and our food scene. Um, and so when people ask me about our Ohio, I say we're super green and you don't even realize it. We have amazing metro parks and we have like top of the line food culture here. That you can only get some stuff you can only get here, and it's so cool. And so come visit us because we're awesome.
What a pitch.
Yeah. And when I have a lot of different kinds of food that I like, so it's hard for me to pick a favorite restaurant. Um, I think that if you come to Cleveland and you don't get a Polish boy from the east side or a corned beef sandwich from Slyman's, clog your arteries a little bit, or find a church on the west side that little old ladies are making pierogies.
Mm.
You know.
You don't have that down here.
Oh my God, dude. I feel that in my soul. And you know what? Before you said the Polish boy thing, I literally the first thought I had was is when I get to come home next week, the first thing I will stop besides when I go get my skyline fixed, I'm gonna get a Polish boy. So that's dope, man. I appreciate you. Anybody else?
I'll go next. My name is Dante Jones. What was next? I'm in Ohio. What was the next question? I forgot the whole line of questions.
That's okay, man. You know, this is the
I
last.
know
This
the
is the
favorite
last.
food. I remember that part.
Oh yeah, no, this is the last one of the day. I want to make it fun for you all. What organization you represent here today? And yeah, tell me either what makes you think of Ohio when you think of Ohio, or your favorite restaurant.
I'm a democracy fellow at Cuyahoga Community College. Representing I've been a full-time student. When I think of Ohio, I think of the Buckeye State. I think of the Ohio State Buckeyes, and I think of cold weather. And Alexis, she said all the good foods already. She said all the definitely the Polish boys, East Side. You put it down. You put it down to the region. You was right too. You right too. The Probies on the west side, yeah. Slyman's corned beef. Now, this is a quiz for Alexis. Which Slyman's are you talking?
There's only one Slyman's that's worth going to.
Oh, that's the truth,
Okay,
though. That's
all
the
right,
truth. The OG location, man. That's
That
right.
means you gotta get your butt up early and stand in line.
all right, all right. Just a second. You got that right.
Hey, man, appreciate you. Anybody else?
Well, I can go. My name's Debbie. I'm with the League of Women Voters. I wasn't born in Ohio, but I've been here about 30 years, and I'll tell you what was really exciting for me coming here. I came here from California, so I landed in Ohio, and it was a swing state. This is a swing state. My vote matters. The political activity I do matters. I can actually impact an election. Well, I'm sure you all know that, we aren't in the swing state category any longer. So my enthusiasm has waned a little bit, although I'm having to work harder and harder.
Amen to that. And I mean, again, I appreciate you taking your talents from California to Ohio to fight the good fight and become an Ohioan here and make it home. So I appreciate you so much. Anybody else want to hop in? The water's warm.
I can go if
Yeah.
if everybody can hear me. I'm not sure. I'm Yvonne Dorch. I'm the voting rights coordinator with Cuyahoga County. And when I think about Ohio or Cleveland in general, I think about the water. I love going down to the water and just sitting there and getting that calm time. But I do believe Alexis and Dante missed one on our restaurant, Mr. Heroes.
Oh,
I love
prepared
a good
fresh
Roman
for
burger.
you.
A good Roman burger is always necessary, at least once in a while.
Oh, Vaughn, man, you got to behave over there, man. Bringing up Mr. Hero, man. Oh gosh, I miss it all so much.
Trying
Man.
to give
I
Nick a
appreciate.
heart attack when he comes back to Ohio because he's gonna
I'm
see
ready.
all the artery clogging things at once.
Oh, dude. We
I'll
were
go.
talking.
So my name is Camille Hendricks. I work for Cuyahoga County Health and Human Services, the Office of Reentry. I serve as our communications manager. And so, you know, you guys have already started talking about food. I'm not a big foodie, but apparently Cleveland is number 7 on the foodie list. I don't know if you guys saw that. So we are, you know, hitting the food capital, right? So we're number 7 on the list. So obviously we have some good things to talk about.
Man, appreciate you so much, and I'll make sure to take extra fish oil when I touch down, so my heart doesn't give out.
I can go next.
right.
My name's Jonathan Krieger. Thank you for inviting me to this session. It's been a great conference. I'm a faculty member at Columbus State Community College. I have to give Alexis a shout out because she's really brought us into the fold with this work over the last couple of years and helped guide a lot of the work that we do at our college. So I appreciate all that. And I'm not a native Ohioan, so I've been taking notes on all of the food options. So next time I'm up in Cleveland, I've got 3 places I'm gonna definitely check out. So thanks for that.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you so much. And you know, it's funny, Vaughn and I were talking about Melt up in Cleveland, which, you know, for the ginormous grilled cheese sandwiches they make. So I'm trying to make room for all that. I think I'm gonna go hit the treadmill real hard before I head out there. So yeah, I think that was everybody. I appreciate you all so much for humoring me. So like I said, for me, my favorite, I guess, Ohio spot. I mean, I've already kind of alluded to it. I mean, something else though that like you can't get, but it is a chain. Piata. I'm a huge fan of Piata. If anybody, I mean, we have them in Columbus and Cleveland. I miss that so much. And if I win the Powerball, I'm gonna get a Piata franchise out here. Maybe make it a Skyline Chili Piata combo. I don't know. But anyways, so I'm balling with it. Looks like what, like 20 minutes or 25 minutes, Alexis?
Yeah, we got
Up at-
about 25 minutes left.
That's okay, because I don't want to drone on too heavy, but I've got a little presentation that I want to run through with you all. You all can stop me at any points in time for questions or anything like that. I want this to be you know, a safe, intimate conversation about the photo ID law is going to be implemented there in a couple weeks, and then also talk a little bit about vote riders and the work that we do and how we can collaborate with all of you. And so, you want me to share my screen, Alexis, or did you want to have it? I don't care either way.
Either works for me. Just let me know what you need from me.
I'll just do it. Let's see. Share my screen. Safari. Bang. Let's see. All right, hold on. Well, I've had issues. Let's see if it'll let me. It won't freeze on my screen if I just do that. It paused. All right. I guess we'll just. Does this look okay on your guys' screens? If not,
It takes up most of the screen.
all right, cool. So, I'm gonna run through this with you all. And like I said, holler at me if you have any questions. But yeah. So, if you have not been living under a rock, you would know that right now Ohio has been hit with the biggest, I think, strictest photo ID law that the country's seen in a minute. And so I'm gonna just run through it, talk about a little bit as far as what the history of vote riders is, because you might be wondering why the hell is Nick giving us a presentation about photo ID in the first place. So I want to explain a little bit about vote riders and the organization, talk about the nexus and just the kind of the history of this particular Ohio photo ID law for voting. And then, like I said, run through the vote riders tools and services. And so we've been on the ground for 11 years now. Vote Riders was created as a nonprofit organization that is specific in its mission, which is we are trying to combat and assist individuals with the strict photo ID laws we see across the country. We are nonpartisan. We do not care how you vote. We just want you voting. And the big thing is that our network from 2012 till now, I mean, we have been able to expand into having over 1,000 partner organizations and 9,000 plus volunteers across the country that assist specifically with ID education and ID assistance. So I don't know. Oh, okay. I was about to say, why is that blurry? So I mean, if we're just talking about the country at large, you can look at this map and see, I mean, there are about 35, 36 states on there that have a voter ID law. And I got to tell you, I don't see the trend stopping anytime soon. It seems like in the name of trying to make elections more, I don't know, less fraudulent, I guess. We see a lot of states implementing these types of laws. But the problem is that that big number on the right, 25 million voting age American citizens from the studies we have do not have a current government issued photo ID. And the number that I oftentimes work with and try and like make this like a picture for you all to be able to see, that's like about 10% of the voting age population. So let's say we took 10%. I usually say Wisconsin because I can rattle that number off to you. The voting population in Wisconsin is 4.6 million individuals across the state. So 10% of that is 460,000 people that do not have a current government issued ID. And in states like Wisconsin and in Ohio, where we know, or, it's funny, we were talking about how, with Ohio, Debbie was talking about how Ohio was, a battleground state, a purple state. Wisconsin, purple state. These elections, oftentimes statewide, federally, are decided by the thinnest of margins. So if you're saying to me that in both these states we have photo ID laws, and you're saying to me that there's 460,000 people approximately that might not have a government issued ID, then we're talking about literally massive swings of our electorate that can't participate in our democracy if they don't have the right documents. And the big thing is, I mean, I think I'm preaching to the choir about this. I mean, the individuals that have spent any time on this earth or working in these communities that we serve in, I mean, I rattle off all the time, and we've talked about the college students that are impacted by photo ID laws, our elderly. If these individuals don't have a valid ID in the states that they live in, and they don't have accessible transportation that's readily available to them to get to their local BMV, I mean, how are they going to be able to acquire that ID if they've never had one for the first time in Ohio? I mean, we could go on and on, but our traditionally marginalized and disenfranchised individuals are hit the hardest when these ID laws go into effect, all in the name of, again, trying to prevent voter fraud and trying to have the safest, most fair elections. And so HB 458, just a quick crash course. I mean, I think everyone knows, but Governor DeWine signed the legislation that will require voters to present a photo ID at the polls. And they've offered they're saying they are offering free state IDs to Ohio and 17 and older. I will say that the devil's in the details when it comes to states offering free IDs to individuals. In Wisconsin, we have a system in place. It's called the ID petition process, where an individual who does not have all of their documentations but might have some stuff, the DMV here, so our version of the BMV, will go ahead and start to assist that individual with cross-checking birth certificates and other documents, but they will issue them something temporarily for free so they can go vote. I'm very curious to see what the free ID, once it's implemented, how logistically it's going to be put in place, because even if it's free, there's costs that are associated with one transporting themselves to the BMV, the time that it requires to be able to do all that stuff. And so stay tuned. Under the new rules, Ohioans must present the photo ID when they vote in person, whether it's on election day or during the early voting period. I mean, with our college students, something that I have meditated over a ton is, well, when it comes to voting in Ohio, one option that I think is going to become very popular for Ohio students is voting by mail, because it doesn't require the same. I mean, you don't have to straight up, that's not your only option, to show your photo ID to be able to vote. And we can talk a bit about that towards the end, but I definitely want to hear from you all too at the end. You know, some of the biggest challenges that we foresee for our college students who, for all intents and purposes, are living in Ohio full time. But because of this law, your out of state ID or driver's license is no good. And so, yeah, I'm going to just keep moving since we have 12 minutes. So you might be asking yourself, okay, we've got this new photo ID law. What IDs are actually good for voting in Ohio? Well, and I really emphasize this part. Oh, geez. I'm over here just editing in front of you guys. So if you're going to vote and you're going to use a driver's license or a state ID, you better make sure that it's an Ohio state ID or driver's license, and that it's unexpired. If you have an expired ID or driver's license, it's no good. There's been confusion with the address part of it, and I want to make it perfectly known that as it is currently written, your ID, as long as it's unexpired and it is an Ohio ID or driver's license, it can have the current or former address on it. The important part is that in the poll books, they have your current address, but you don't have to be deterred if you think, oh, my ID doesn't have my address, I can't vote. We want to make sure that individuals rid themselves of that information, because they will stay home if they think they can't vote. Another thing that I think will be extremely helpful for our college students, even though this is not a cure-all because passports are expensive, but like for individuals that have US passports, they can use that to fulfill the photo ID requirement. Military IDs, and it's got to be one specifically from the federal government. I know that there's been a lot of conversations about the county veteran IDs that have been distributed, and I know that population, it's over 1,000 people at least. So that is something that is going to have to be addressed at some point in time, because I think there's going to be a lot of confusion for them. The Ohio National Guard ID card and the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs ID card are valid photo IDs for voting in Ohio. You know, it's funny because I looked at this chart that Secretary LaRose shared with us, and I got to tell you, I mean, I've got a Juris Doctorate, I'm an attorney, I've got, you know, I think a decent education under me, but man, the more I look at this, the more my brain just melts to cheese. But yeah, the big things that we want to make sure that people know is that, like with HB 458, you can't use a driver's license or an ID that's from out of state. Nowadays, you can't use your social security card, your birth certificate, insurance card, this long list of things that in the past you might have been able to use to go vote. It's really specific. It's hyper specific now. And so we want to make sure that our people know exactly what they can vote with and what they can't vote with at the end of the day. And I mentioned voting by mail. And this right here is a sample absentee ballot application from the Secretary of State's office. And I just want to highlight the fact that, hey, I mean, if you've got or have had your Ohio driver's license or state ID, being able to rattle off that number, driver's license or ID number, is sufficient. Knowing the last 4 digits of your social security number, or I mean, if you feel so inclined and want to take a picture of your photo ID, and it's one of those qualifying photo IDs that I listed before, you can use that when trying to vote by mail in Ohio. All right, so I'm gonna just speed through this stuff because we're balling with 8 minutes now. But with Vote Riders, the big thing is that we want to eliminate the barriers individuals have when casting their ballots. And since photo ID laws are a integral part to the voting process now, we want people to know the best ways to be able to get our assistance. And I will explain literally verbatim what exactly we do. So on the voter ID education part of it. So at Vote Riders, we try and spell out everything that I've said in a very clean and concise way as far as educating people on the exact IDs they can use to go vote. And so if you were to visit the Vote Riders page, you would see, and you looked up Ohio, you would see this, and they would see this page and it would explain straight up, can you use an out-of-state ID? No. Student ID? No. Expired IDs? No. And then we can talk about all the good things if you want to vote in person or by mail. The site is in English and in Spanish. We do have a link to the State Secretary of State's office, and people can request ID help. So specifically, we assist individuals with paying for their first-time ID or paying for a duplicate ID or driver's license. We assist individuals with acquiring underlying documents you need to get a ID in your state. And the most common documents are usually a birth certificate, a social security card, and then people usually show like a piece of mail that they have with their name and address on it to prove residency. For birth certificates, we will pay the fees that one needs. It doesn't matter if they were born in a different state than Ohio. As long as they were born in one of the 50 states or U.S. territories, we can order their birth certificate and pay for it. And social security cards are free, but if anybody has tried to get a social security card through Social Security Administration website, it's a nightmare. So we pay for the transportation to the DMV, to the Social Security office, in your case, the BMV. And we also, if somebody wants to go in person to get their vital records, we pay for that too. We do info cards. And if your organization wants these, we've been printing out thousands of them across Ohio. They're little wallet-sized cards that are we can print them in English and in Spanish. They're free for 501c3 nonprofit orgs and public-facing organizations and government entities. And really, it's just a quick, clean way of sharing with people, get people to do an ID check. Make sure that they have either one of these things if they want to go vote, and if they don't, on the front side it has Vote Riders contact information. And we do ID trainings. It's a great way if your staff or community organizers want to be well versed in the particular ID law in your state. So in this case, Ohio, we could do in-person or virtual ID trainings to get them up to best practices, best customs when it comes to engaging individuals on ID stuff. And we also do buddy training. So buddy trainings are an opportunity to help. Once you get trained on it, you get an opportunity to help individuals acquire documents like IDs, birth certificates, social security cards, and Vote Riders will pay for it. It doesn't have to be out of pocket to you. We want to be able to spread far and wide, and I can't do it all by myself. And so, buddy trainings are another thing that are a great mechanism for your staff or community organizers. We do joint outreach, but I'm just going to keep it moving here because we're pressed for time. Another tool in the tool belt, we develop direct voter contact partnerships with organizations. And so if your organization does phone banks or text banks and you have in the script, you have scripts for these things, you could put a question at the beginning of it asking people if they have a valid Ohio ID or driver's license. And if they don't, we can gather that information and then work directly with them so that our team of volunteers, trained staff, we can assist people exactly where they are, help them get what documents they need, and take that off of your plate. So if you're an organization just registering people to vote and they get hamstrung with trying to get an ID in the first place, we can help get them the ID so then you can then register them, and then it could be a perfect harmony. All right. Let me speed through here. So we have a helpline and chat bot. People can reach out to us for direct ID help by calling or texting 866-432-8683, which is 866 ID to vote. We have our helpline email that's staffed by trained volunteers. And then on Facebook, we have a chat bot. It's in English and in Spanish. People can engage it. It's first automated. And then once we get to the point of knowing that you want to either speak in English or in Spanish and that you need assistance, then it gets transferred to a trained volunteer staff member that can assist. I'll skip over photocopy my ID. I'll make sure to share this slide deck with you all so that you can view it and not have to feel like we're being rushed here. Yeah, I mean, I've alluded to this, but getting IDs costs money. It takes time. And so vote riders not only paying the fees, but also paying for the transportation. We want to make this as easy as possible for anybody that's seeking these services. And we'd help people get, if you already have an ID, but you want help getting your birth certificate, we can help with that. If you have your birth certificate, don't have an ID, and you want an ID or a social security card, we'll help and do that. It's not just exclusive to just IDs. And then the last thing I'll say real quick, and then we're going to wrap. Especially when we have someone full-time on the ground in Ohio, we're going to be setting up clinics all across the state for people, for us to be able to meet people where they're at and be able to do intake and start ordering documents for people right then and there. And so I would love to stay in contact with all of you. And if you know organizations that would be interested in having vote riders, staff, or volunteers on the ground doing clinics, definitely let me know, because I will be traveling to, like I said, Ohio next week, starting to implement some of this stuff. And yeah, it's a sprint and a marathon, and can't do it without each and every one of you. And so with that, I'm just going to skip to the end here because I think we only have a minute. But let me also stop sharing so I can see you all. So I sped through all of that. My apologies. But does anybody have any questions or comments or concerns either about the HB 458 or vote riders, or, I mean, really anything under the sun?
I'd like to jump in with a question if I could.
Yeah, lay it on me.
First off, thank you for the information. Very impressive and really helpful. Some stuff that I can take back to my college, I think. The question I have, and I think I know the answer to this because I've asked it at other conferences, but I'm just trying to get verification. With the new election laws in Ohio, 17-year-olds can still vote in a primary for candidates if they're going to be 18 on election day. That didn't get changed, correct?
Correct.
Okay. We have a large college credit plus population at our college, and those are high school students taking college courses. And so we're trying to reach out to 17-year-olds and try to get them into the habit of voting. And I wanted to make sure that that information we're passing along is still accurate. So thank you.
Amen, brother.
The
Amen.
challenge you're going to run into with them is that unless they're driving, many of them don't have any ID.
Right.
And so, and their parents are used to the rules where they could have a utility bill or whatever at the polls. And that's not, like utility bill, tuition bill, something like that at the polls. And that is not accurate anymore as of this election, when it was accurate a few months ago in November. And so they might be hearing from their families that they could take a bill, Jonathan. And so that's going to be like the kind of the misinformation piece there, because they'll be hearing from mom and dad and grandma and grandpa that they used their utility bill a few months ago. And that's just not the case anymore.
Yeah, that good points. And I'm taking notes so that I can remember when we're doing communications with our students to highlight that.
And one of the major, and so a lot of the students that we a lot of our democracy fellows, when they're tabling, actually do use vote writers cards, because it's quick, cute and small, to give out to folks so that they understand the ID that you have to vote. So if you all haven't ordered new ones, because I know a lot of people had them last year, if you haven't ordered new ones, this is a good time to order new ones because they have since updated with our current legally acceptable IDs in Ohio.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I'll put the link in the chat too, so that
order them.
people have it.
Yeah.
But yeah, any other questions or anything? I mean, I appreciate you all listening. I like having a presentation and a whole day full of events and stuff. I know that shit's exhausting. So I cannot thank you enough for just listening, participating, being a part of this. Like, it means the world to me. Like, and I hope that me speeding through it, you came away with something at the end of the day.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. That was great. You are wonderful. You give us so much hope. It's so easy to fall into despair in Ohio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's been some dark times out there. I know that's true.
Dark times. Yeah, we're about to do a mailing to 3,000 intermittent voters on questionnaire on voting attitudes. So would it be appropriate for us to stuff one of the info cards into those and get it out to 3,000 people?
Absolutely. I mean, that's like the type of stuff that we always want to try and do to, I guess, I mean, have the tentacles out there as far as possible, so to speak. I know that's pretty graphic, but like, I think that would be pretty amazing. And we'll be also doing letter writing parties across the state, where virtually and in person, where we get lists of voters that we identify to most likely not have a valid ID in Ohio. And so maybe we could collaborate on doing something like that too with you all. I mean, it's just, we've only just begun, gang. I mean, there's so much work to be done in Ohio. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah.
I know the first letter writing event was this week in Columbus.
But yeah, we're doing it on Wednesday next week. So it's upcoming Wednesday.
I thought
which I
me
can-
and was holding one.
Yeah, that's the one.
Okay, I got my dates mixed up then because I thought it coincided with a different meeting that was happening this week.
Oh,
Yeah, we
God,
just got
no.
done writing postcards for your Supreme Court justice election coming up, right?
I feel like I got one. I mean, I got one from Ohio, as a
Yeah.
matter of fact.
It's probably from one of us.
Yes.
Yeah.
And what's
And one of the things I always remind people, especially students, is that we have to remember that we're in the high propensity voter category most of the time. So we get everything. We get everything. We are high propensity voters. We vote in every election. We're on everybody's mailing list. So people that don't vote in off years, at least in Ohio, or don't vote in primaries, they're getting a different set of literature, and often it's not the same high level of communication that we get. So we have to remember that, and that people are not getting the information that is like prevalent in our Google feeds, that is on our social media.
Awesome. Welcome back, everyone. I think we have all the breakout rooms back. On behalf of Campus Vote Project and all the summit participants, thank you all for your time today and for participation. I think we had a lot of fantastic speakers, a lot of opportunities to learn today and connect with others from across the Midwest. So I think this was a really successful second Midwest Student Voting Summit because of all of you. Thank you all for showing up. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to Campus Vote Project staff beyond today. And in a few days, we'll send an email with copies of the recording, a survey to help plan for future summits, and more information. So again, thank you all for coming, and look for state student voting summits in your state this fall. in some of our states. We'll definitely have more summits in the future, and we'll hopefully have this summit again as well. So keep an eye out for all the events Campus Vote Project is going on. You can look at our website for that, and I'm sure we'll keep you all updated through email as well. So again, thank you all for coming, and this is the conclusion of the summit. So, and also thank you to our partners, All In Democracy Challenge and the Students Learn, Students Vote, for their help today. And thank you again for everyone coming today. So.
Hey Chuck, can I put a pitch for participating in the student voting study? Into the email that gets sent out, because my breakout room was interested in doing it.
It still says it's recording.
Oh,